Reynardo felt like he was ready to learn new things. Thank goodness he didn't have to go to school for that. It was starting to come back to him. Something you never completely forgot, like how to freeze time when attacking. The more he fought, the more he'd probably remember. With materials like this, he could probably make a really nice pair of barbecue tongs. Or even a sword. Can't we just agree to disagree? Said Reynardo. No? Reynardo felt a chill run down his back. Or possibly a flea. We do it, said Reynardo to himself. Dirty and bloody, Reynardo finally reached Lapino. The rabbit was practicing his shuffle. Reynardo recognized the cards. It was Lapino's favorite deck. Oh, I thought you were in danger. I am. The ravens are coming. Oh, the prison thing. Right, yeah, we see this guard owed me 53 ducats, so we made a deal. They're very reasonable people, actually, for weasels. Now, I got a brilliant plan to kidnap Zenobia. We capture Zenobia, we find out what she knows, and that's the whole war right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Capture the Emperor's greatest general, who also happened to be a deadly sorcerer and, oh, his only daughter? That would be worth it. On the other hand, he could still get to the core of the Sky Ripper, even if he couldn't get the whole thing. It must have great power. Sky Ripper. The transcendent emperor had wrapped an armature around the eye of a god. Reynardo had already let that armature slip away to save Lupino's life. But even its core, the eye torn from a god, surely they could fashion a great weapon from that.
The core of the Sky Ripper? Lupino's excited. That's an actual thing that we could just go and get. You've been busy.
He sure had. Reynardo told him all the things he'd been up to. Soon they got to talking about old times, about wages they'd won and lost, and scrapes they'd barely got out of. It was good to be back with his friend. Reynardo grinned. He had a very good feeling about this. It's beautiful here, thought Reynardo. He was thrilled to be back with his old war buddy. He'd missed the mad rabbit, but something was not quite right. If he ever had a castle, he was going to hide his stuff better. Who needed bridges anyway?
Reynardo checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep. I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Reynardo. There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Come over here. learned so much. It was Reynardo felt wrong all over. He could feel an almost palpable sickness in the air. And if the land could have tumors, they would look like these monstrous crystals. The forest was quieter than it had been. There were insects, but few birds, if you didn't count the ravens. Reynardo smelled sick animals and dying ones, but no healthy ones. And getting a bad feeling about this, Reynardo thought. Maybe Lupino was right. Maybe they should have kidnapped Zenobia instead of coming here.
He missed his old skills. He welcomed them back like he was at a reunion.
Should have faked left and then gone left, he thought. And then, he never thought again. That he didn't feel more pain. Just a bit dizzy. Whew. As he held the radiant icosahedron, Reynardo felt queasy. Like dozens of tiny worms were nibbling his insides. It wasn't healthy to be so close to the eye of a god. How could he use it? He could take it to the observatory. The scientists there could tell him how to harness its ancient power. But honestly, Reynardo ached to get away from it. He brought the core back with him to the Farfarer. But honestly, Reynardo ached to be rid of it.
Tell you what, said Lupino. I'll take it to the observatory. You attack the Imperial outpost.
The Imperial outpost was a vital communications node. Taking it could shatter the Empire's ability to coordinate. And it would be full of secret plans and maps and maybe even rebel prisoners. It was a good target for a hero like Reynardo. But what if Lupino got the core and then broke it or lost it? Or worse? Was Reynardo ready to take that risk? Maybe it was better if he brought the core to the scientists himself. Lupino was a touchy rabbit. Reynardo knew that. You're brave, I know, Reynardo said. But this is what I was hired to do.
At least let me run ahead and warn the scientists you're coming.
So, Lupino was intent on being a hero, just like him. War made sensible men crazy for glory, and Lupino had never been sensible. But what was the harm? Lupino might well trip over a hornet's nest of ravens, but that was better than ravens lying in ambush, wasn't it? They finished the trip to the Nexus in silence. Reynardo had no sooner rescued his friend than he was putting him back in danger. All right, he finally said as they landed. Go. As Reynardo watched Lupino vanish on the horizon, he could feel nausea building in him. He felt ill. Could his knees really be aching this much? But how could he have handed the core off to Lupino? That was a recipe for disaster. Reynardo felt a little better.
Come on. One fox, no waiting.
What could he craft with the materials he had? Reynardo had a pretty good idea, actually. Bloodstains out of his tunic. Reynardo felt worse. All his joints were aching now. He'd been through beatings that felt better than this. So the core had a kind of poison that could harm you without even touching you. That's new. Well, it had power. The rebellion needed something with power. And how was this any worse than a sword wound? Well, a death by sword was sudden and fair. This was just squalid. A piecemeal death, like old age. This was way better than being able to shrink down to the size of an ant. What was that all about, anyway? Don't look down, he thought. The Imperial fleet was closing in on the rebels. And what had Reynardo accomplished? He'd rescued Lupino, but ignored his plan. Now he was dying of the Corps' poison. His trusty old sword was always a little better when he sharpened it. This was much easier than free climbing. Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy did they sting if you didn't pay attention. Bye-bye, life, he thought. Hello, emptiness. The way they stayed back and lobbed pain and death from a distance. Cowards. Really dangerous, effective cowards.
Reynardo had been the terror of the sandcastles when he was two. The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists everywhere. Reynardo found the mad rabbit cowering under a desk.
The ravens. They must have known we were coming,
said Lupino. How did you...
Well, see, I was doing a card trick with my lucky deck, and I kind of bobbled the cards, so I went under the desk to gather them up, and boom!
I guess we'll have to take the car straight to the secret base. The secret rebel base. Yes. They had engineers there.
But wait.
Calaveras, the sage in the mountains. Maybe he would know what to do with the naked core.